Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and it's time to talk about Kamen Rider MY-TH, or MY-TH as it's spelled, but it's actually officially pronounced mice, so I'm going to be saying that. We've been getting some news over the last few weeks on the newest Kamen Rider show, but as I've been a little bit busy abroad, I wasn't able to cover it until now, because I'm back home, obviously. I do have some stuff for that planned coming up, plus I'll cover Ultraman. Be sure to subscribe for all of that. For now, we're talking about the newest Kamen Rider season. But before I do that, a quick word from today's sponsor. JP Fans is a Japanese proxy website that lets you buy from Japanese marketplaces like Mercari and Amazon Asia. You can shop for thousands of local Japanese items, including the newest Kamen Rider toys and gadgets, or pre-owned Super Sentai robots from many years ago. Items you wouldn't normally see on your local Amazon, and much cheaper compared to the prices on eBay. And compared to other proxy sites, JP Fans has lower service fees per item, so if you've been hunting for that one specific item, or just want to explore what Japan has to offer beyond tokusatsu merchandise, you've got to use my link in the description to sign up and instantly get 8 shipping coupons to make the trip from the private warehouse to your house that much easier. If you'd like a full tutorial on the site and how to use it, make sure you check out my JP Fans introduction video, and stop overpaying on your tokusatsu toys and start shopping like a local at JP Fans. So the first announcement of MY-TH came, mice. I'm gonna be doing that all for a few times, you'll have to bear with me. The first announcement came back in April, if you remember that. I did a video on it, plus all the other news we got that day. We just got a name. We got nothing else. Since then, we've been getting a bunch of rumors and stuff. We actually realized we did get the suit leaked, but we thought it was a Zettz rider. Then, in the beginning of July, we got our first official trailer and poster for the show, which gave us our first look at Mice himself and the evil rider of the season, Kamen Rider Mao, or at least the first part of the season. We'll see how long that lasts. And the apparently secondary rider of the season, Kamen Rider Raido. That's just what the Japanese name is. I'm going to be going with that from now on, or for the current time. I think the official romanization is Rid, or like R-I-D. So it's, I'm not calling him Rid. I don't know what Raido is meant, or like what any of that is supposed to be, because Mao obviously means like Demon King. Mice is the spelling MY-TH is obviously them kind of doing like myth, I think, but pronounced mice because mouse. But I don't know what Raido is supposed to be, so I'm just gonna go with Raido. We'll see how that changes. So we got our first look at the suits, the gimmicks called the ride eggs, and the belts obviously, and some of the story got teased. So the main tease of the story in this first trailer is the phrasing "awakening after a century" and like all these old movie effects. It seems, and we got more of this later, it seems like the show is going to be kind of spanning centuries in a way. I don't know how much of the past we're going to get, but it seems like some of these characters are from at least a century ago, and we're dealing with some kind of event that happened a century ago, which is pretty interesting. And it leads into the future, the present day, and that's why Mice is kind of unique compared to our other characters in terms of aesthetic, which I'll get into in a second. So the big thing is that Mice is using a mice driver, as I believe it's called, on his chest. We're continuing the Zettz thing. While Mao uses what's called a Mao driver on his waist, like a normal Kamen Rider, and Raido is actually using the mice driver on his waist with an attachment piece, which I'll get into in a second. So that's interesting. Then Mice and Raido are actually using the same gimmick, like the exact same ride egg. But on the chest, it uses a mouse, or a mouse image appears, and on the waist, a cat image appears. Mao seems to be using like a repainted version. I guess they're going to be selling evil repaint versions of these eggs, because I assume it's going to make the same sounds in either belt, because it looks the same, just the silver is red. So I wonder if there's a version of the Mao driver on the chest, if that will create an evil mice. Something about, or maybe he can use the egg and it creates an evil version of him. We'll see. These 3 suits to me are actually all pretty cool. I think the mice one is actually my least favorite of the 3, and I don't think it's bad. My main favorite part is the big loops on his arms and legs and head. I think that creates a very cool silhouette. for a Kamen Rider. And the big thing for me too also is the colors are very nice, like this just in general, but I love, people have been pointing this out, like each Reiwa rider kind of has a completely different color scheme from each other and most Kamen Riders in general. I guess Saber doesn't really, but he's still different from all the other Reiwa riders. And Mice is continuing that. He's no other Reiwa rider, main Reiwa rider at least, is silver and blue and black and yellow. He's very cool looking. I do quite like that. I do think the chest belt aesthetic continuing on, like, just looking at the suit, like, just very bluntly, I think it's kind of weird we're continuing that. I've seen a bit of debate amongst the fandom on, oh, it makes sense we're continuing this because Zetz is a new era, and maybe it's kind of weird we're continuing this because it doesn't distinguish Zetz in his own way anymore. I think it's weird this is just my opinion, you can think whatever you want. I do think it's weird we're continuing it right after Zetz. However, the fact that Raido and Mao, like our other two riders, are not using the chest belt, and it does seem like that's going to be a thing, and it seems to play into the story, the fact that it is a chest belt, not a normal waist belt, I think that makes me more interested in it and not as, like, not disappointed, but like weirded out by continuing the chest belt. There is speculation that this will be a continuation of the show Zetz, because of the similarities in design in the chest belt, and the logos are similar. That's not happening. I'm just gonna stop it right here. Let's all cut it out. That's not gonna happen. There's even rumors that Takahashi's gonna continue writing for Mice. That's not happening. They've never done that. I don't know why they'd start doing that now. Again, especially when, like, the chest belt thing isn't because this is code technology. It does seem to be because this is a new future version of the character Mice. So this isn't a sequel. Get that all out of your heads. That's not happening, okay? Just letting you guys know. The other thing that does make me less or more accepting of the return of the chest strap rider system is that this belt is also being worn on the waist. Raido is wearing the same belt on his waist as Mice is on his chest. But even, like, the activation's different. Like, you can see that Mice has to, like, push the buttons in, and it's completely open when it's on Raido's waist. Plus, Raido has this attachment gimmick, which I think also kind of differentiated. So it does, I don't know, it's like the same belt, but different enough in unique activation stuff, I think makes me more accepting of it. It does, I'm very interested in what that buckle thing is going to be doing, because I do love, like, the Geats and Gaim thing of putting buckles on your drivers and, like, changing the user that way, because we are apparently getting multiple of these buckles, but they're also weapons, and I can't tell how this is a weapon at all, and I'm curious to what extent is it a weapon. Like, is it just going to be this dinky little hammer? This one's apparently a hammer. Or is it going to be a big CG hammer and then he can stick it on his waist and it shrinks? I don't know. I'm very curious to see that. The Mao and Raido suits are easily my favorites between the three we've seen, or four, I guess we've seen so far. Mao's, completely red. I think that's really badass. I do love red. And Raido just being a black version of it, the yellow really stands out. I think he also looks very cool. Now, in this trailer, we also get a brief tease of a Mice using Raido's belt. And he ends up having the same body design as Raido with the Mice head. Now, we get a better look at this later, so let's move on to trailer 2, which dropped today as of this recording. Apparently it was midnight in Japan. I don't know why the random drop. This trailer is crazy because this is revealing our official main rider, main heroine, and Mao's actor, the villain, which has never happened before. The movie for Zetz isn't even out yet. We've gotten, in recent years, the main actor's been revealed on the movie day release, or day of the movie's release. We're still a week out, and they dropped the main actor, plus some of the secondary actors, and we're still getting a press conference in a couple weeks that they announced in this trailer. So, crazy things are happening with the press junket for Mice in its entirety. I don't know how or what. I know how, it's because they're filming early. I don't know why they're doing it different this year. I did kind of like when we knew nothing until the movie came out and the writer cameoed in it, but it's fine. This is also pretty cool. So, we also got a bunch of staff before I get to our actors. So, the pilot director is Shojiro Nakazawa, who notably directed the pilot of Geats. We also have Satoshi Fujita as the action director, who was the action director of Geats as well. So we got 2 Geats action alumni, which means, at least in episode 1, the action is going to look very sexy. Actually, in the whole show, because it's the action director of the whole show. The producers are Naomi Takebe, who was a producer on Gav, and Yosuke Minato, who was a producer on Gotchard. So I like Gotchard and Gav. 2 G's. All right, lots of G's going on, because we got Geats here too. So I don't know what happened there. But the thing I really like about this announcement is that we get all 4 of these guys and girl talking in this press conference thing, or like it's a little round circle talk, and they're talking about the production and the themes of the show, which is really cool to get in anticipation of a press conference. Like, this is actively making me more excited for the show, just seeing little teases of the production, hearing the people who worked on the show talk about the show and their ideas going into the show. I think that's very cool. And I really like this kind of press style system that they're doing for Mice. I think that's very cool. So those actual themes they talk about, they mainly say that the show is going to be about 2 worlds that can't intersect, the past and the future, group and individual. It seems like Mice and Mao, at least, or for the beginning, or maybe the whole show, are going to be representing these 2 opposing ideas, everything I just said. Mice, Kamen Rider Mice, is Sora Otosumi, played by Ikuho Akiya. He's said to be Yuna's butler and the Meister of House Mizuki. He doesn't have a conventional sense of justice, but he does have a sense of confidence and stability, which does seem very interesting. Again, I do like how we're already talking about, like, the character, like, the actor's talking about his character before we even see almost anything of the character. I think that's kind of cool. He does sound like a kind of, I guess kind of like a Geet style character if he's not, if he doesn't have a conventional sense of justice. And I think there were some also rumors like he doesn't transform specifically to save people necessarily. So that's like a very selfish main rider. Does sound pretty cool. His partner, or like actor partner, is Yuna Mizuki, being played by Riku Horikawa. She's a strong heroine and someone the protagonist, Sora, is determined to protect, but she does carry many burdens and is closer to a hero than Sora. So she's, again, like, I don't know how the pairing or like the perspective in the episode 1 is going to go, but she seems, from what they're talking about, she seems to be like the good guy of the 2 of them, but she's like the leader or the master if he's her butler. I think that's an interesting dynamic. Like, maybe she's the one who's going to be telling him what to do or like missions to go on and stuff like that. That sounds pretty cool. Interesting dynamic we have going on here. Now, these 2 are apparently going to appear together in the Zett's movie. Not apparently, they said that. Which is crazy to me because obviously we all knew Mice was appearing. I like that they now just up front say, like, this character's going to appear in the Zett's movie, because we all know that's going to happen now. But with this, they not only release pictures from the cameo, which is crazy, but we also got Yuna's going to appear in the cameo, apparently. We see her with Minami, which I believe is going to be the first time ever that a movie cameo has a character included that's not just the main rider. That's always a given. I don't think we ever see anyone else until Zett's movie next week. I don't know what that means for like the story. Like, I assume that has to mean Yuna's gonna have a pretty big role in everything if she's that important of a character that she's the one who appears with Mice. But we'll have to wait and see. The other thing that we get is Kamuri Minitaka / Kamen Rider Mao, being played by Keisuke Higashi. They casted apparently a guy with the presence of a last boss. So that's my number 1 pick for who the final character in the show is going to be, or the final villain is going to be, which does sound pretty cool to have a guy that's there the whole show up until the end. The actor says that, like, oh, I hope you like my costume, and he says the vintage costume plays into the story. So with all of this talk about the past and future and stuff, it seems like from everything that's going on, the idea with Mice as a show is, obviously you can tell there's a cat and mouse thing going on. Mice being the mouse, we got cats as bad guys, and allegedly there's like not allegedly, there's apparently this story about like the zodiacs where, or like zodiac animals, where the mouse beat out the cat or the cat beat out the mouse. I can't remember exactly how it went. And I think the cat got kicked out of the zodiac, or the mouse did. And that's what this story basically is. The cat and the mouse are two factions that are fighting against each other for the zodiac. The fact they haven't mentioned the zodiac at all in these things is kind of weird. I thought, since that seems to be the idea they're going for, I kind of thought they'd mention it, but that sounds like really kind of an interesting plot line, because then with that, they get cat and mouse fighting against each other. They got a zodiac thing to back it up. Then they have the mouse is a futuristic Kamen Rider, got the belt on his chest. He's got all the lights and stuff. Mao seems to be like 100 years old, or from like 100 years in the past. So that's how he opposes that. I don't know what the group and individual thing is supposed to mean yet. We are told that we are going to be getting a lot of Kamen Riders this season. All of them using some version of the Zodiac belt. We're going to get, or sorry, the Mice driver. We're going to get different belts or pieces slotting on. Different eggs that Mice can also use. And they're also going to create different animals depending on if you're using it on the chest or the belt, which does sound pretty cool. We don't get anything on Raido in this trailer, but he is apparently a disciple of Mao searching for mice, and he becomes Yuna's tutor or something, or he starts working in the house, so he's like a cat chasing the mouse in the house. The other thing that was really cool that we get in this trailer, in addition to a bunch of cool glamorous shots of our characters, is we get a nice quick shot of the past mice fighting against past, or Mao, and the background looks like very old-timey, so that confirms kind of the past versus future thing. We get an older mice, and you can really get a good look. That is, like, I kind of thought maybe it was an edit in the trailer, the first trailer, but this is straight up the Raido suit with blue and a different head slapped on. So it makes me really curious. It feels like in Geats, if you remember, they created a very cool rider system that they could just swap out a helmet or repaint a helmet, and that's a whole new Kamen Rider. Obviously, you can, because they could swap and mix and match armors, you didn't need to create a whole base form. And given how we have two characters already using the same belt system, the same buckle too, I'm really curious how the buckle plays into that. Maybe the buckle's what changes the armor. The egg changes the head. They're gonna have to release a different toy of the egg so that when you use it in belt mode, it'll activate the mouse head. But anyways, are we gonna get a lot of this Raido suit with different heads slapped on, or is it only exclusive to that buckle? I don't know. I'm really curious to see. Like, I'm interested in this story because they're just teasing little parts of it, which is really cool. But I'm especially so excited to see the lore and like just these suits, like how these suits factor into the lore. Like, who's gonna look like mice, who's gonna look like Raido, who in the show might ascend and get a chest belt. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of cool things going on, and I'm very interested to see what Mice is gonna be all about. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel, as I will be covering the press conference once it drops in August, in addition to the whole show as it airs, as I have been continuing to do for Zets this year. Make sure you check out those videos as well, and I hope to see you next time.